Om apavitra pavitro va sarva avastang gato piva yat smaret pundarik akshang sabhaya abhyantara suchi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu mukam karoti vachalang Pangung langhayate girim Yat kripatamahang vande Sri Gurung dinataranam Yat kripatamahang vande Paramananda madhavam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you all for coming. So now we begin a new series of stories. We finished up with the story of Usha, Aniruddha, and Bana Asura. We heard about Lord Shiva. And we saw how Krishna did not kill Bana Asura. But although Bana Asura had achieved the benediction of Lord Shiva of 1,000 arms, Krishna, instead of killing Bana Asura, decided he's puffed up. I will cut off 996 of his arms and he can have 4, just to teach him not to be puffed up. And then there was the nice ceremony of Usha and Aniruddha, and the section ended on a very happy note. Today's incident is called the story of King Nriga. Kindly listen with rapt attention. The story of King Nriga, narrated in this chapter, is meant to give sober instructions to all proud kings. Through this incident, Lord Krishna also gives serious lessons to the members of his own family who had become proud of their opulences. Once upon a time, the family members of Lord Krishna, such as Samba, Pradyumna, Charu, Bhanu, and Gada, all of them princes of the Yadu dynasty, went for a long picnic in the forest near Dwaraka. And in the course of their excursion, all of them became thirsty. And so they tried to find out where water was available in the forest. When they approached a well, they found no water in it, but on the contrary, within the well was a wonderful living entity. It was a large lizard, and all of them were astonished to see such a wonderful reptile. They could understand that the lizard had been trapped and could not escape by its own effort. So out of compassion, they tried to take the large lizard out of the well. Unfortunately, they could not get the lizard out, even though they tried to do so in many ways. When the princes returned home, their story was narrated before Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is the friend of all living entities. Therefore, after hearing the appeal from his sons, Krishna personally went to the well and easily got the great lizard out simply by extending his left hand. Immediately upon being touched by the hand of Lord Krishna, that great lizard gave up that shape and appeared as a beautiful demigod, an inhabitant of the heavenly planets. His complexion glittered like molten gold. He was decorated with fine garments, and he wore costly ornaments around his neck. How the demigod had been obliged to accept the body of a lizard was not actually a secret to Lord Krishna, but still, for others' information, Krishna inquired, "My dear fortunate demigod, I now see that your body is so beautiful and lustrous. Who are you? We can guess that you are one of the best demigods in the heavenly planets. All good fortune to you. I think that you are not meant to be in this situation. It must be due to the results of your past activities, which has put you into the species of lizard life. But still, I want to hear from you how you were put in this position in the first place. If you think that you can disclose that secret, then please tell us your identity." Actually, this large lizard was King Nriga, and when questioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Nriga immediately bowed down before Krishna, touching to the ground the helmet on his head, which was as dazzling as sunshine. In this way, King Nriga first offered respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. King Nriga then said, "My dear Lord, I am King Nriga, son of King Ikshvaku. Now, if you have ever taken account of all charitably disposed men, I am sure you must have heard my name. My Lord, you are the witness within. You are aware. You are aware of every bit of work done by the living entities, past, present, and future. So nothing can be hidden from your eternal cognizance. Still, you have ordered me to explain my history, and so I shall therefore narrate the full story." King Nriga proceeded to narrate the history of his degradation caused by his karma kanda activities. King Nriga said that he had been very charitably disposed and had given away so many cows that the number was equal to the number of particles of dust on the earth, the stars in the sky, or drops of water in a rainfall. According to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, a man who is charitably disposed is recommended to give cows to the Brahmins. From King Nriga's statement, it appears that Nriga had followed this principle earnestly. However, as a result of a slight discrepancy, King Nriga was forced to take birth as a lizard. Therefore, it is recommended by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, "Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yaj juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tad karushva mad arpanam." Krishna says that one who is charitably disposed and desires to derive the benefits of one's charity should offer his or her gifts only to please Krishna. To give charity means to perform pious activities by which one may be elevated to higher planetary systems. But promotion to the heavenly planets is no guarantee that one will never fall down. Rather, the example of King Nriga definitely proves that fruitive activities, even if very pious, cannot give us eternal blissful life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, "Yagyarthat karmanon yatra loko yang karma bandhanaha tad artang karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara." The result of work, either pious or impious, is sure to bind a man unless the work is discharged as yajna or sacrifice on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. King Nriga informed Krishna that the cows he had given in charity were not ordinary cows. Each one was very young and had given birth to only one calf. They were full of milk, very peaceful and healthy. All the cows were purchased with money earned legally. And furthermore, their horns were gold-plated. Their hoofs were bedecked with silver plating, and they were covered with necklaces and with silken wrappers embroidered with pearls. King Nriga stated that these valuably decorated cows had not been given to any worthless persons, but had been distributed to first-class brahmanas, whom he had also decorated with nice garments and gold ornaments. The Brahmins were all well qualified, and since none of them were rich, their family members were always in want for the necessities of life. A real Brahmana never hoards money for a luxurious life like the Kshatriyas or the Vaishyas, but always keeps oneself poverty-stricken, knowing that money diverts the mind to materialistic ways of life. To live in this way is the vow of a qualified Brahmana. And all of these Brahmanas were well situated in that exalted vow. They were well learned in Vedic knowledge also. They executed required austerities and penances in their lives, and they were liberal, meeting the standard of qualified Brahmanas. They were equally friendly to everyone, and above all, they were young and quite fit to act as qualified Brahmanas. And besides the cows, these Brahmanas were also given land, gold, houses, horses, and elephants. Those Brahmanas who were not married were given wives, maidservants, grain, silver, utensils, garments, jewels, household furniture, chariots, etc. This charity was nicely performed as a sacrifice according to the Vedic rituals. King Nriga also stated that not only had he bestowed gifts upon the Brahmanas, but King Nriga had also performed other pious activities, such as digging wells, planting trees on the roadside, and installing ponds on the highways. King Nriga then continued speaking to Lord Krishna. However, my dear Lord, in spite of all this, unfortunately, one of the Brahmana's cows chanced to enter amongst my other cows. Not knowing this, I again gave it in charity to another Brahmana. As the cow was being taken away by this Brahmana, its former master claimed the same cow as his own, stating, "No, no, no. This cow was formerly given to me. So how is it that you are taking it away?" Thus there was arguing and fighting between the two Brahmanas. And so they came before me and charged that I had taken back a cow which I had previously given in charity. To give something to someone and then take it back is considered a great sin, especially in dealing with a Brahmana. When both the Brahmanas charged King Nriga with the same complaint, King Nriga was simply puzzled as to how it had happened. Thereafter, with great humility, King Nriga offered each of the Brahmanas 100,000 cows in exchange for the one cow who was causing the fight between them. King Nriga prayed to the Brahmins that he was only their servant and that there must have been some mistake. And so to rectify it, King Nriga prayed that the Brahmanas be kind upon him and accept his offer in exchange for this one cow. King Nriga fervently appealed to the Brahmanas not to cause his fall down into hell just because of this one mistake. A Brahmana's property is called Brahmasva, and according to the laws of Manu, it cannot be acquired even by the government. Both Brahmanas, however, insisted that the cow was theirs and could not be taken back under any condition. Neither of the Brahmanas agreed to exchange it for the 100,000 cows. Thus, disagreeing with the king's proposal, the two Brahmanas left the place in anger, thinking that their lawful possession had been usurped. After this incident, when the time came for King Nriga to give up his body, King Nriga was taken before Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, and he asked Nriga whether he first wanted to enjoy the results of his pious activities or first suffer the results of his impious activities. Seeing that the king had executed so many pious activities and charities, Yamaraj practically hinted that he did not know the limit of the king's future enjoyment. In other words, there would practically be no end to King Nriga's material happiness. But in spite of this hint, King Nriga became bewildered, and so he decided first to suffer the results of his impious activities and then to accept the results of his pious activities. Therefore, Yamaraj immediately turned King Nriga into a lizard. And King Nriga had remained in that well as a big lizard for a very long time. Then he told Lord Krishna, "And so, my dear Lord, in spite of being put into that degraded condition of life, I simply thought of you, my dear Lord. I simply thought of you, and my memory was never vanquished." It appears from these statements of King Nriga that persons who follow the principles of fruitive activities and who derive some material benefits are not very intelligent, because being given the choice by the superintendent of death, Yamaraj, King Nriga could have first accepted the results of his pious activities. But instead, Nriga thought it better first to receive the effects of his impious activities and then enjoy the effects of his pious activities without disturbance. On the whole, King Nriga had not developed Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person develops love of God, love of Krishna, not love for pious or impious activities. Therefore, the devotee is not subjected to the results of such action. As it is stated in the Brahma Sanghita, Yas twindra gopam atavendra aho swakarma bandhanu rupa phala bhajanam atanoti karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam bhakti bhajam bhakti bhajam govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham tamahang bhajami. A devotee, by the grace of Krishna, does not become subjected to the reactions of fruitive activities. However, somehow or other, as a result of his pious activities, King Nriga had aspired to see Krishna. So King Nriga continued speaking. My dear Lord, I had a great desire that someday I might be able to see you personally. I think that my tendency to perform ritualistic and charitable activities, combined with this great desire to see you, has enabled me to retain the memory of who I was in my former life, even though I became a lizard. A person who can remember his or her past life is called Jati Smara. In modern times also there are instances of small children recalling many details of their past lives. Since King Nriga openly declared that he had two outstanding qualities, one, devotion to the Brahmanas, and generosity, it is clear that King it is clear that King it is clear that King Nriga possessed these qualities only partially, since someone who is truly pure would not boast about them. It is also clear that King Nriga considered such piety to be a separate goal desirable for its own sake. Thus, King Nriga did not fully appreciate pure devotional service to Krishna. Krishna had not been the only goal of King Nriga's life, as Krishna was for Ambarish Maharaj, even in the stage of regulative practice. And nor do we find that King Nriga overcame obstacles like those overcome by Ambarish when he was taunted by Durvasa Muni, and who became angry at Ambarish. Still, we can conclude that since King Nriga was able to see Lord Krishna for some reason or another, King Nriga must have had the good quality of sincerely desiring Lord Krishna's association. When King Nriga mentioned that he hankered to have Krishna's audience, King Nriga was referring to an incident concerning a certain great devotee King Nriga had once met previously. This devotee was very eager to acquire a temple for a most beautiful deity of the Supreme Lord. And the devotee also wanted copies of such scriptures as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So being very generous, King Nriga arranged for all these things, and the devotee was so satisfied that he blessed the king. My dear king, may you one day have the audience of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And so, from that time onwards, King Nriga desired to see Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.